Twitter is a pretty straightforward service, as you've seen. After you set up your account and start tweeting, as it's called, not much more to it other than trying to attract more followers and then using it strategically, as you'll see in our more in-depth chapter on using Twitter for business. But getting started with Twitter, you need to understand that there are some rules. There is a terms of service that you agree to when you create a new account. So whenever you are using a website and you want to see what their rules are, usually you just scroll to the bottom and look for something that says TOS or Terms of Service or something like that. And here we have one called Terms. So click Terms, and these are their rules here. I'm not going to read them point by point, but basically you cannot impersonate or harass other Twitter users. I've seen people get their Twitter accounts cut off because, for example, they were impersonating a famous person. They uploaded a picture of that famous person and they tweeted as though they were that famous person. And so the famous person had to create a Twitter account called The Real Famous Person, and then The Real Famous Person. Now, you're allowed to satirize. If you're very obvious that you're satirizing being the president of the U.S. or something like that, people can tell that it's not you that's tweeting, then that's okay. But you cannot impersonate anybody else, and you cannot intimidate anybody else. You can't use or have in your background image any questionable images or talk about illegal things. You can't submit unwanted email to any Twitter members. Now, that's really hard to do because usually people's emails are not real obvious unless you actually include them in the background here. But I think the other thing that might get you in trouble if you're not careful is that even when you add a link in your tweet, that link cannot lead to a web page or website that also violates any of these basic terms. You can see that right here. You are solely responsible for your conduct and any data, text, information, and so on that you submit on post and display on the Twitter.com service. So be careful about what you link to. If you get all excited about some sort of web service or a new web app that you found and you link to it and it turns out to be malware or some sort of virus, then Twitter could cancel your Twitter.com account. And if you have 3,000 followers after 6 months of prodigious work, then that could be a huge dent in your marketing reach. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep on your toes with Twitter. It's pretty relaxed in general, but be safe out there.